Hello everybody, it's me, GhostCritic. We're already a week into June, which must mean I need to do a 5 favourites of the previous month, that being May. And I'm so glad that it's been a lot more difficult in a good way to find my 5 favourite comics, because there is so much good stuff coming out now. As I've said in previous videos, the first few months were very lax in the entertainment value, and I was starting to dread what 2016 was bringing us. But fortunately, certainly the last couple of months have been amazing. The quality and the entertainment value has soared. These are all my comic books that I picked up in the month of May, and I've managed to reduce this down to 10 comics. 5 that were my favourite, and 5 more that I just wanted to have a few words about. That's all. So let's get on with it. Okay, my first favourite comic book of May comes from David Lapham. It's Stray Bullets, issue number 14, and my god, this was the tensest issue to date. Anyone who reads Stray Bullets, or anyone who is particularly interested in starting reading Stray Bullets, the thing you have to know up front is that nothing ever goes right for any of these characters. They always end up in places, positions, scenarios that they really don't need to be in or want to be in. But Lapham has this great way of bringing this dark humour and entertainment value as we peer into these people's lives. I've said time and time again, especially with Sunshine and Roses, this heist, rescue, whatever it is that it has become now, has taken so long. But this is an issue as to why, because again, Lapham takes a little bit of a detour from the main storyline, and we focus on our cover star here, Joey, who, of all the characters that should have a gun in their possession, Joey is not one of them. For everyone who's familiar with the character, let's just say he's 2 sandwiches short of a picnic basket. And it's not a case in this issue of if something is going to go wrong, but when, and then of course who gets it. It's every page I was like, oh my god, he's pointing that gun at the wrong people, he's shooting it off, and oh, it was just butt clenching with every turn of the page. And then obviously right at the end, the kind of shock ending on who actually gets shot. I won't spoil it for you in case you haven't read it, but it's just like, now where does this go? Because all the characters, dependent, regardless I should say, of what story we're on, if we're on the main story or these little detours, Lapham always keeps them all kind of connected in some way, and it'll be interesting to see now, after who has been shot, how that affects the main storyline. But great stuff. I always say, you know, Stray Bullets, the last volume of this, only lasted, I think it was about 8 issues, and we were all ready for this one to be like another kind of mini-series and for it to finish. But, you know, 14 issues in, I'm quite happy for this just to continue on and on and on. I'm picking Rick Remender's Tokyo Ghost issue number 7 as my second favourite comic book from May, and it's here that we hook back up with one of our main characters, Led, the kind of over-testosteroned, technology-addicted cop in a kind of Judge Dredd 2000 AD way. And although he's gone back to work for this over-bloated media mogul Mr. Flax, he's still racked with guilt over the kind of war that happened between him and the tech-free Garden Nation of Tokyo, the last remnants of, you know, this tech-free world that Remender has envisioned for us. And so he heads back into his addiction with technology and all those hundreds of entertainment feeds to try and block out those feelings. Flack is on his way to Tokyo to live, and he's taking along apparently the most intelligent people he knows to build a new, fresh society. He can take over the state of Tokyo and make it as technology and entertainment and all that kind of stuff as his permanent residence that he has at the moment. And all the while, you know, we've got this mystery assassin who we always knew was going to be Debbie, hunting him down to take him down before he gets to Tokyo. The interesting thing about this issue is because, you know, we've heard in various news feeds from the comic book websites that it looks like issue 10 is going to be the last issue of Tokyo Ghost for now. I think there's going to be a big long hiatus with this if Remender comes back to it at all. But with this issue, he's kind of opening it up to a kind of final story arc in the way that, you know, Debbie has defeated one of her enemies, but by defeating him, has she created an even bigger threat to not only her survival, but all of the population of this country. Great stuff as always. Murphy and Hollingsworth do some great stuff on the art and the colours on this. A great series. I picked this up in trade if you haven't already, given that it is just about to finish, if not take an extremely long hiatus. Dept. H, issue number 2 from Matt Kindt. I'm probably going to say that we're going to see this a lot of times on my top favourites. This is number 3 of my favourites of May, and it's in this issue that we learn a lot more about Mia and her past. We obviously have her in this kind of laboratory research unit at the bottom of the ocean, but we also find out here that she's actually been in space as well in that research group. And nothing seems to go particularly right. But we do wonder by the end of this issue, are we about to lose our main character of Mia? As the story progresses, that the power in this research unit is kind of on the fritz. Contact with the surface has been lost, quite coincidentally, just as Mia kind of arrives to investigate the death of her father. And so it's up to Mia and her brother Raj to kind of set out into the depths of the ocean to go and fix it. But was it actually a kind of accidental fish nibblers at the cables, or is there someone there with more nefarious and devious motives in cutting off the power to the surface? Matt Kindt just has this amazing ability to flesh out his characters so well and make them so interesting and intriguing. And while they are, yes, it's rough, it's loose, it's always imaginative, and you know, you just can't not look at it. Every inch of the page and the panel that he uses is of interest and needs looking at. Just a great book. If you missed out on Mind Management, which I did, I had to read that in the hardbacks. Don't miss out on Dept. H. It's a great little book that needs and wants a lot of attention. So go out, pick this up, and I know you'll love it. So yes, it made it onto my top 5 favourite. DC Rebirth, this kind of 80-page one-shot for $2.99. You can't get much better for that alone. There was just so much in this book that just cover price alone made it worth it. However, if you are a huge DC fan, especially pre-52, this is gonna, in some way, I'm not saying all the way, kind of clear up some of the arguments that a lot of the pre-52ers had about our new 52 universe. I mean, there are so many guest appearances in this. Obviously there's the controversy going around the Watchmen and them being drawn into the new DCU. We have DC reintroducing all those elements that got left behind in the New 52, such as like the Justice Society, the Legion of Superheroes, which kind of had a little burst right at the very beginning of the New 52, but I don't think anyone really got a handle on what they were and how they were incorporated into the New 52, so that kind of went by very, very quickly. But what I will say, and it's strange that I've heard a couple of people saying this, is that this book is not for the faint of heart. If you're looking for a jumping point onto the DC universe as a new reader, I'm sorry, but no, this is not the book. It's great, and please go and pick it up and enjoy it for what it is. But there is so much of DC's history that you need to know while you're reading this, that if you are just coming into DC fresh, you're going to be like, why is everyone getting so excited, so talkative about this issue? Because you have things looking back to not only Flashpoint, Watchmen, Crisis on Infinite Earths. You have to have knowledge of these characters such as the Atom and all the kind of incarnations and the characters that have taken on that role, and as well as the Flash and why he has been so important in so many of the most recent DC huge world-shattering events. I would think if you were new to the DC universe, you would struggle with this book very much. I mean, I don't know a great deal, and I had to read up a lot about what was going on in this. I mean, obviously there's the whole death of Superman, who might not be the real Superman, and there's more than one Superman now. I don't read Superman, I don't know what's going on there, but however, I enjoyed the heck out of this book. There's so much, it took me so long to read, which is a good thing. I like to, you know, have something meaty to get into, and this was certainly an evening's read to pour over not only the storyline but the gorgeous art in here. I mean, there was a lot of artists on here, you can see from the bottom all the names, but I didn't feel like the art styles were too dissimilar, that when you got to the kind of next chapter of this particular issue, that there was a kind of jar of art styles, and it all flowed very, very well. I know this sounds incredibly hypocritical of me, because I've said for weeks and weeks and weeks, no, I am not going to get into this Rebirth stuff. DC is behind me now. I'm back to being a big Marvel fanboy. But like I said, when I picked this up on my pull list video, I'd gone into the comic book store saying, no, I'm not going to pick this up, I'm going to leave it behind. But then even my comic book store owner said, look, I know how we feel about events, but you got to read this, it's actually really good. Obviously there's the Watchmen element of it all. I really don't care. I honestly don't care. Forget about all the Alan Moore stuff outside of that. It's just the idea of what was always meant to be like, not an Elseworlds tale, but it was a story that was outside of the DC universe, and we have now DC trying to draw those characters into the normal DCU, and in some respects, from the way this seems to be going, it's their fault for the new DCU, the new DC 52. So I really don't have an opinion on that. I just want a good comic book story to read, and I thought this was it. Right, let's move on to just have a quick word about 5 comics that I wanted to say a few things about very quickly. House of Penance, issue number 2. Tomasi, Bertram and Stewart continue to take us on this wonderfully supernatural, surreal trip that's based on kind of true life events-ish, but just a great book that's continued to entertain me from the first issue and has me hooked. It's only a 6-issue miniseries, so think about going over to Dark Horse and picking this up. I just wanted to talk about Silver Surfer issue number 4, just to go, I was right. I know it's a little bit obvious, but you know, at the end of issue 3, we thought Silver Surfer had died, and I just went, look, there's 3 people with little bits of Silver Surfer on their fingers as rings. That's going to bring him back to life, and yes, it did. Of course it did. But what also was so enjoyable about this is that we had the whole kind of Marvel Universe heroes coming to assist Silver Surfer in taking down Shalabal, who has come to destroy Earth and kind of remove everything that makes it original and unique. And there was that lovely kind of emotional ending where Silver Surfer may have lost his kind of true home of origin, but Earth certainly wants to take him in as one of their own, that this is now his home. And I just thought that was very sweet and kind of a little bit emotional ending. Issue number 6, Weird World, which was the final issue, which I was surprised because it felt very downbeat, despite, you know, we had this face-off between Morgan Le Fay and Becca. This just didn't feel like an ending. Yes, it kind of sets things up for maybe future storylines for someone else to pick up on, but I don't think we're going to see Weird World again for quite some time, which is a shame because I like the world, I like the environment, I like the craziness, and Mike Del Mundo's art is beautiful and needs to be in many, many more books. Issue 26 of East of West. And you know what, it's so hard to keep up with the kind of constant backstabbing and double dealings that are going on in the East of West universe, but it's still a joy to read. I love the kind of evil machinations that keep going on in the background, and you know, you can see it's all coming up to a head, and I'm very, very excited for this book. I love it. And finally, for the 5, Moonlight issue 2, contender for the best Marvel book, but doesn't quite make it. But I am so joyously confused about what is going on. What is the truth here? Are we in an asylum and Mark Spector is just total Looney Tunes? Or is there more than meets the eye here? I love this book. And Smallwood and Bella's art on this is just terrific. I think I said in the past, it kind of gave me that feel of Alex Maleev, who was on the Daredevil run with Brian Michael Bendis for so long. It's kind of got that gritty, dark feel to it. Such a great title. Pick up Moonlight. Issue 3's just come out. I'm sure you'll be able to find this to catch up, but just a great kind of, again, bit surreal, bit weird, bit what the hell is going on here? So I just mentioned about Moon Knight being a serious contender for best Marvel title out here. Well, Doctor Strange, it's still the best Marvel title, despite that stiff competition. What a great book this is becoming, and has become, and still is. Jason Aaron, Bocello, and now Townsend, who's very Bocello-esque in style anyway, so they kind of work well together. They're just creating this great magical universe, despite the lack of magic. With this issue, number 8, Stephen's out there looking for what appears to be the remnants of magic. And what he does have, he's having to use sparingly because they need to collect as much of it as possible to take on the Empirical. And despite its kind of exciting action sequences and its kind of Indiana Jones-esque magical travels, there is this sense of hopelessness here, which gives it its dark edge to it too, with Strange continually having to pay literally with his blood to find the next bit of magic. We wonder where the rescue is going to come from, as Wong takes that young girl, I can't remember her name, I think it's Stanton, something like that. He's taken her to Tibet, so maybe there's an answer there. Or what the dark secret that lives down in the cellar and has now been apparently let loose. and has devastating effects on the Empirical. Is that where our magic is going to come back from? Just such a great book, and I love Bocello's art on this. Again, I love the thick black outlines, the bold use of colours, and when I say bold use of colours, yes, white is a bold colour, use it. Just fantastic. I love this book. Okay, that's me for May. Yes, all the comics from May that I enjoyed, had something to say about, and I hope you enjoyed that too. Thank you for watching up till now. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button, give me a big thumbs up, and let me know what you thought about my top 5 comics down in the comment section below, and let me know what your favourite comics were, and also why. So, until June ends, I will see you again very, very soon. Bye bye.